So I'm here at the Tower of London, and I'm about to start a journey where I take you down a gruesome and morbid tale. We'll be going to the seedy back streets of East London to recount and have a look at the story of Jack the Ripper. So I'm going to walk there now, and I'll see you in a minute. So at the time of this recording, we have just finished the second lockdown. So it's very busy at the moment and people are enjoying the sun on this December afternoon. So this will be a morbid and gruesome video. So we're going to be looking at lots of words related to murder and killing, things like that. So Jack the Ripper was a murderer, a serial killer who went on a murderous rampage in the late 1800s, and we're going to visit his murder sites today. So it's thought that he killed 6 women. He had 6 victims. However, there is some speculation as to whether they are all his victims, but it's believed that there were 6 in total. So our story today takes us to Whitechapel in the east of London, and the aim of this video is to have a look at the history, the streets, but also learn some vocabulary and hopefully some more advanced English words as well. So somewhere towards the end of this street is the site of the first murder, one of the first victims of Jack the Ripper, and this was the murder of Martha Tabram. And along this cobbled street, so cobbled is the word we use to talk about the bricks in the street. It's like an old cobbled street. So it kind of gives you an idea of what it used to look like. It's probably much more similar to how it used to look like back in the 1800s compared to a lot of the other places we will go to later in this video. But you can kind of imagine it here, right? You can kind of imagine something horrible taking place here. So I think it's quite nice to kind of visualize what life was like back then. It was very different to how it was today, where it was quite dangerous to be out. People were very, very poor. Many people didn't have enough money even just to sleep for the night, which is why many of these girls were outside looking for money, looking for a place to sleep late at night, and that's when they met their fate, which is kind of a poetic way to say they died, they were killed. So somewhere along these streets, Martha was brutally murdered and found on the morning of the 7th of August, 1888. Some people say she may not be the victim of Jack the Ripper. However, due to the way she was killed, most people believe that it is one of his victims. So the body itself was found somewhere very close to this graffitied fence right here. So right in this spot, a couple hundred years ago, there was a brutal murder. And you can see why it could happen, because even today, it's not the nicest street. It's a little bit seedy, a little bit kind of grim, but probably nicer today than it was back then. And by the way, if you like these kind of videos, do let me know, and I'll do my best to make more of them in the future, about different topics that you guys request, different areas of London and the UK, showing you the culture, teaching some language while we do it. So I couldn't really get good access to Derwood Street. So Derwood Street is the place of the second murder from Jack the Ripper, and it's the murder of Mary Holly Nicholas. This is the first official victim, as there was some speculation as to whether the previous one was in fact one of his victims. So I couldn't really do a good talk during this video, so I'm doing a voiceover at the moment because The security guard gave me some trouble here. So somewhere around this site, obviously there's a lot of roadworks here now, but somewhere around here, Mary was wandering the streets, drunk, trying to get money for a place to stay. Very similar to some of the other girls who were murdered. And this is when Jack the Ripper took her out. Took her out means to kind of kill someone, like to assassinate someone. There's very little that remains from this time here. All that you can see is some of the old cobbled street underneath the tarmac, and that's all that remains. So just over here, so this is the 10 Bells pub in Whitechapel, and this was the third murder of Jack the Ripper, and it was the murder of Annie Chapman. So Annie Chapman was drinking at the 10 Bells pub on the 8th of September 1888, but it's thought that she was drinking here, and once she left, drunk, roaming the streets, that's when she was picked off by Jack the Ripper. So as far as I could tell, what is quite notable about the murders is that they were occurring at a time when newspapers and media like that were becoming more common. People were becoming more literate, meaning they could read more. And this kind of shocked the country, shocked the city. This is one of the first big events that had the whole country in shock. And one of the reasons for that was because they were just so gruesome. Here's some murder-related words for you guys. So what Jack the Ripper would do is he would slit their throats. So slit means like make a cut. He would then dissect his victims, which means to cut open. Very disgusting. And then he would mutilate them. So to mutilate is like to attack someone in such a way that deforms their body. So people were shocked because of the gruesome nature of the kills. So here on Henrique Street was the fourth murder. This is where the fourth murder took place. And this was on the night of the 30th of September, 1888. 2 murders were actually committed on this night. So we say the word commit. A murder was committed, like a crime. And this is often referred to as the double event. So she was butchered on this street, somewhere along this street. So now we've arrived to White's Row, which is the 5th murder, the 5th place where a body was found, believed to be a victim of Jack the Ripper. And this is the murder of Mary Jane Kelly. So she was found on the 9th of November, 1888, somewhere along this street, and her body had been mutilated. Once again, there isn't much here that would resemble what life would have looked like back then. It looks quite modern now, quite bright and open. But back then it was a very different time, and the reasons that a lot of these murders happened was because they were actually sex workers who were roaming the streets looking for money. And that is when Jack the Ripper picked them off one by one. The 6th and final kill of Jack the Ripper on Old Castle Street in East London. So this is Old Castle Street. It's changed a lot since the days of the late 1800s. So the victim here was Alice Mackenzie, who was murdered on the 17th of July, 1889. Because of the new university buildings and the construction that's taken place around this street, the street is now beyond recognition compared to how it used to look in the days of Jack the Ripper. Many still speculate as to whether this was his victim due to inconsistencies in the way she was killed, but it was similar enough to be counted. It was a brutal and spine-chilling murder. So although it may seem now like a fairly normal side street in London, this was once the site of a brutal and horrific murder somewhere along this street. So as you can see by the date on this building, a lot of the buildings here would have been very similar or the same back in the days of Jack the Ripper. So this building here, the wash houses, this was built a few decades before and now is part of the London Metropolitan University. So hey guys, it's getting colder now, night is setting in, so I've changed my hat. It's very cold now on December evening, but I hope you enjoyed that video. It was something a little bit different, you know, so I don't usually do these kind of outside videos, and so it was kind of an experiment as well. Just kind of seeing how it went, what you guys think of it. Also, it's quite scary to film yourself and do film in public as well, especially where we went today. It's kind of shady streets, so wouldn't have been surprised if my phone had gotten nabbed, but luckily it didn't. But yeah, so that was a brief look at the kind of murder sites of Jack the Ripper. If you did enjoy it, let me know, and I'll do more videos in the future. Let me know if there's anything in the UK you'd like to see, anywhere you'd like me to go, and I'll do my best to go there in the future. But maybe now to end this video, you can have a look at a few seconds of the beautiful London lights at night time. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.